Good morning, everyone. Hope that you are well. Let me know if you're hearing me okay. Steph will hopefully be joining us a little bit later. But for now, it's just going to be me and hopefully a cameo from one of my cats taking a look at your natural themed images. Hi to Kajel, Kevin, Rob, Sean, whoever else is in the room. Please say hi. Hi, Joseph. Let us know where you are and what you've been shooting lately if you're going out to shoot this weekend. Hi, Barry, 101 blog. Nice to see you all. It is nice to be here. It's been a great week. I must be getting old. I haven't been, going to fun social outings or parties, but it's been a really, really productive week, and I feel really satisfied now at the end of the week. Going to go through our entries. We had some great different natural themed, and of course it is meant to, like all competitions, be open in nature. So natural doesn't mean it has to be, for example, a tree, but it could also be ironic. Any of the themes, if we do the theme as natural and then you put something super artificial that's pretending to be natural, I will still consider it if it's a great photo. For next week, you might have seen that I just put live my new decadent Victorian themed art nude shoot with new model Natalie. So I'm actually making the theme decadence / opulence, which basically means overindulging in luxury and pleasure and that kind of thing. But you don't have to, again, it doesn't have to be a beautiful woman dripping in jewels laying on a bearskin rug or anything like that. It could be a kid having a big bowl of ice cream or anything that's to do with indulgence and, treating yourself and luxury and that kind of thing. Partly because that will be our prize for next week, the new course, and partly because it's the Black Friday sales and it's a time when a lot of people are indulging and getting themselves those things that they've held off on for a while. Hi, Jason, David, Eric. 101, how can you overindulge? More is better. I like the quote, excess, but no further. All right, so let's just jump on in. Are we looking and sounding good? I assume so. Haven't gotten any feedback to the contrary. So let's jump in and take a look at some images here. So here is our motivation for next week's competition. Decadence, excessive indulgence in pleasure and luxury. That's one of the shots with Natalie. And I'm on the wrong screen, here we go. Another shot, this is the Victorian themed room that we were, that we held the studio in. Sorry, that we held the shooting for this course in. And so here's another one that could fit into it because, it's not necessarily super opulent, but it feels kind of luxurious. She's wearing jewels and that kind of thing. So you don't need to go and find Zsa Zsa Gabor to do a shoot. Or, the necklace she's wearing there is a $10 costume jewelry that I bought on Amazon or something like that. So I'm sure you get the idea. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at your natural themed shots. So this first one from Adrian Moss. Okay. So something we're going to find, I have a feeling, as we go through today's images, and something for you to keep in mind for yourself when you're looking at images is, it goes without saying because it's really for every image, but where is the light and what's the light doing for us in the shot? Because I noticed a few as I went through that were in really difficult lighting situations for different reasons. So in this one, having the hard direct light, it's you can see where it is based on, just like you would a person, the little shadow under the brow, it's quite high and we can see where the shadows are being cast. It's like he gave the direction to the little monkey to lift its head up so that it was getting the full face in the sun. Also, we're getting top side of leaves, bottom side out. So there are some hard-ish shadows there, but none that are affecting the animal. The bright color, it gives us kind of a bright poppy image. Not a super saturated one, but one that gives us loads and loads of detail through the hair. So for this kind of a subject, I think this lighting was really nice. Let's take a look. This was taken with the 200 to 500 on the D500. And were you right out at 500 mil? Yes, plus a, yeah, so 750 with the crop factor. So I like the framing. It's a very simple shot. I think maybe this is one that you could put a slight vignette on that would hardly be noticeable but might help pop the animal out. Kind of an imperceptible but there one. But I like that, so let's get things rolling with a pick. This one from Bob H. I'm not sure if we've seen this shot before or one similar to it, but it certainly seems familiar. That does not look like a fun place to be waking up on a Sunday morning and then having to dig your driveway out to be able to get to the shops. I'm not sure. I don't love this band of just open snow on the right, even though it does kind of give context that we're getting into the nothingness. I wonder if getting closer in on the trees, or if there's another frame on this, like could you be shooting more straight onto the first lot of trees, so it was trees, houses, trees, sky, without this big swathe of open snow. Jump in and send me any questions that you guys might have. Just throw them in. I think Yobo's in the room. I don't know that Juan is today, but I will get back to them for you. And if Steph doesn't make it, send in questions for her and I'll answer them for you. Okay, this one from Brad Norling. If I remember, his email description was something like natural beauty, natural light, very unnatural on the ice, something like that. Yeah, I mean, Brad, I've seen so much of your work. I know the kind of great images that you're creating. I would say this is a gorgeous woman, but an average shot. It's not kind of wobbly enough to be just in its own sake funny. And I think if you replaced her with me, you would agree it's not a special photo. So it's basically a grab shot of a beautiful woman. Yes, with the right settings, yes, with good timing, but I don't think it's anything above an average shot that would be worth entering into a competition. Yeah, maybe there were ones from the sequence you got of her that had some more movement that would make it a bit more attention-keeping. Bram Tolkamp. Okay, so I quite like this as a juxtaposition, showing you the real, what looks to be untouched natural across the water, but then what it takes to access it and how such an obviously man-made structure. Yeah, I like it. I don't need to go too far into it. I was thinking would be being down lower and shooting along the thing work better, but I actually think that would overpower it, and you really do want the nature to be as strong of an element as the bridge, so that's a pick too. I see a question there from Mohit Ray. How do I submit a photo for review? So folks, at the moment, you can only submit up until about an hour before the show starts. And you do that at mattgranger.com/live. There's always a link in the description of these shows so that you can enter for the next week's show. You can't enter live, I'm sorry, because I'm doing this by myself, so I can't be downloading photos and stuff, especially today without Steph. I don't have the cover fire to keep chatting with you guys whilst I go and pull in more photos. So please do it beforehand. The theme and entry space for next week is below. Bruce, now this is a pretty shot. I'm guessing you added flash to this one. It looks to me like you were focused on the flower and the bee happened to come in, so that's a nice coincidence. The shutter speed may be a little too slow for the little buzz friend. So this was 1/80th of a second. So yeah, you're relying on your flash to do the job of freezing the bee. Quite nice, but I think the frame could come in a little bit. Put a little bit more attention on Mr. Buzz. Something up like that, I think, gets us right in the action a little bit more. Chady Weeb. Now, I recall the description in the email of this one was it's to do with plastic pollution in the ocean, so it's a plastic fish sandwich. I think it's a great concept. I think it all works. Just on a shot like this, I would say it's almost done. The only thing would be you've shot this at f9. I think you could probably go to f11, 13, 16 to really get the tablecloth in sharp focus, even the cutlery is slightly out, and then just get the top and bottom of the dish. That's not difficult. Then having the knife and fork perfectly straight, like the knife on this side is ever so slightly tilted the top in. But I think that's a great concept and well executed. Just a couple of little things to finish it off. Mohit asking, do we submit raw images or processed JPEGs? As it says at the page that I gave you the description, send in a JPEG, please. Thanks for answering him 101 blog. And hi Juan, nice to see you. Now, Chris Dellinger. At first, I thought this position was like doing the tricep workout until I saw she was wearing a Wonder Woman outfit and is that a Wonder Woman sword? It looks like a Thor sword or something. Well, without labeling someone that I know nothing much about other than this one picture, interesting choice of subject for the theme of natural. I would say a bit like the earlier shot, this is an interesting subject, but shot in kind of a grab shot manner that isn't a particularly outstanding final image. Don Minard. So this is one where, I mean, just take a look at the difference in the lighting situation here. So this looks like it was soft diffuse light, but backlit, so it had to overexpose the shot like crazy to get the bird to come up. And to be honest, you can tell. So one, Don, maybe this is a heavy crop as well, because you've submitted kind of an odd size that isn't up to the size that I had asked to be submitted. But I'm guessing that means that you maybe also had to crop way into it. So this was already shot at 2,500. And then maybe had to push it further in post and crop it in. The image is, you know, showing the artifacts of that being the case. But having said all that, I've shot these kind of birds before. I've been in the same situation. I've wanted to salvage the image, and I've done exactly the same thing, so I know how it is. Enrique, okay, what am I looking at? This looks, doesn't look like forced perspective. I was going to say it could be just a little real skull-sized skull that's been put really close to the camera, but I guess it's an art installation or maybe it's an eco cabin or something in the woods. It's certainly intriguing. There's something about it that does hold my attention, even though there's not that much to keep looking around. I am kind of looking around the jungle to see if there's something lurking there to take a look at. I'd love to hear more about it. Enrique, let us know the story. I'm going to give that a pick. Eric, nope. So, this is another interpretation of El Natural, natural. And another where it's a kind of a challenging lighting situation here with looks like hard light in the background, but her in shade, in residual light, and then being backlit. So overall, I think the way you've handled the light and everything is just fine. Her pose doesn't look super comfortable, but sitting on that kind of a surface never is. And the way that she's positioned her leg is more for modesty than comfort, so I think that works fine. I don't know about the cropping on through the foot and through the knee. I think if she brought her foot up just so her toes were in the frame here, you could still have the knee across, revealing the belly button but covering privates, and that would feel like a more natural crop than cropping right through the foot. I'm going to do 2 more pictures and then take a look at questions. So if you have any, please send them in. Okay, Frederick Turner. Nice little trumpety looking flowers, but there's not a whole lot going on here. To be honest, it looks like I just got a fast aperture lens shot, so I'm going to shoot everything at a shallow depth of field type shot. I think this would work better with a little bit more depth of field. It's having just the edge of the leaves here, but then not the stem. This flower out, this flower in, this flower half in, out. I don't think really that, like, this is our subject at the end of it, this one flower or these 2 flowers. I don't think they hold it enough. And I just realized I was zoomed in, so let me go back. There's Eric's full lady with her feet not cropped off, so that was my bad. Did I screw up any others? I did. Okay, so I was zoomed on all of them. I've been having that lately with the latest version of Lightroom. Sometimes when I go to click, it goes to 100%, but sometimes 600 or 800%, sometimes, because I don't think I was zoomed on this one, but when I moved to this one, it was zoomed in. So I don't know what's going on. So there's the rest of your frame, Enrique. Interesting, gives more context like that, but I actually wonder if cropping it up like we first saw it actually does make it more striking. So let me just... No, actually, even as we had it like really on the thing looks good. So there, Eric, that makes more sense with the feet. I'll give that a pick then. So this one, Frederick, my point still stands. It's basically this flower and this flower that are our subject, and I don't think they're enough to hold an image like this. Ian Burton, so kind of a natural, kind of a, looks like combination of the 2. Maybe worth coming back at different times of day when the overhead, later in the day when the overhead light isn't as bright, so you kind of even it all out, and then at that time of day consider doing a long exposure. Could work nicely here. Janice. The feeling this gives me looking at it is that late afternoon sun, the warm sun when you're sitting indoors and you get that radiating warmth through the glass. You're in kind of indirect sun, you're seeing it reflected off the tree and everything, and maybe glistening on the water, but not right in your eyes, just that warm feeling you have at this kind of a moment. And that is all natural. So I think this absolutely does work for the theme. I don't think the photo, however, is quite there. This, well, I guess you could say it's telling a story. There's all of this beautiful nature outside, and she just has one houseplant inside, and that kind of tells us something. But yeah, I feel like maybe there's something more here. So first of all, it's the curtain that's in focus, not her. I do think the plant on this side is just kind of a distraction, and the framing on her could be improved, but the color and the atmosphere of it I do like. So let's jump out now, have a little bit of coffee, and take a look at some questions. David Neal, I am half watching this live and half standing outside in Alaska at minus 10 F shooting the full moon rising over the mountains. Well, that sounds fun, and don't get frostbite on your fingers watching the show or shooting. Hi Barry from Tulsa. Rob from NYC, hope you're doing well. Eric, everyone, hi. So, questions. I'm not seeing a single question so far, so we're not a terribly chatty group today. All right, well, so be it. I'll just jump back and keep looking at the pictures. Hope we do get some interaction. Otherwise, with just me here, it's not the most fun or engaging show. Hi Juan, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. Hopefully there'll be some questions for you to field. Stir up some shit maybe. Jason McGuire and the hummingbird. Now I chose this one as I randomly chose 2 or 3 emails last night before I downloaded them all to choose one that I thought could be a good thumbnail for this week. Chose this one partly because it's beautiful and partly because it's a 16:9 ratio already, so it's perfect for a YouTube thumbnail. So what was the shutter speed? 1 to 12/50th, actually slower than I would have thought, and at ISO 4500, so well done pulling the noise back. Some little artifacts in the feathers, but it still works well. Yeah, I can't really fault it, especially given that you were already up at such a high ISO. You needed the f8 to get it all in. I would have to say I'm just surprised that you were able to get it so sharp at 1/12/50th for a hummingbird. I would have thought you would want to be double that shutter speed. That's a pick. Jerry Dalton, let's just make sure we are zoomed out. Yes. They're nice flowers, but to me this looks like a shot that was taken in ordinary light and then has had like a brush applied here and there to darken it down, like up here around the top of that just doesn't look like that's how it was shot. A lot of this looks like it's just had a brush kind of a little bit haphazardly dodged and burned, but yeah, I think that is the case. So maybe shot against a black cloth and then it results in kind of mushy colors. Nothing looks particularly sharp. Yeah, I think you would get a more interesting result if it were actually lit in an interesting way rather than having highlights and shadows added after the fact. Joe Caruso, it's a little hummingbird showdown. Jason and Joe duking it out. So this one, no metadata unfortunately, so we can't compare. Beautiful bird. It's a shame missed the second wing. I guess this is a flash shot. It is nice seeing the foliage around. Overall, I think, it's unfortunate that you just came after another hummingbird shot, so it's inevitable to be compared against it. I would say, I think having it in tighter worked better on the previous shot. But here, if there were a crop that you could bring it in and have it be around the bird and the one plant that it's coming in on, that could be something great. Whoa, John Dalston. And we're starting to get into the range that would make Steph's skin crawl. Now, John, I don't know if this was a heavy crop as well, but on the page I do specifically ask for a certain size of image. This is less than, it's like a quarter of the size of what we ask for. Which means I can't really judge what kind of quality's in the shot. It looks like maybe it's lacking fine detail, as in it either misfocus, wasn't at the fastest enough shutter speed, or a great enough f number. Looking at the settings, that could be all of the case, but I really can't tell on such a low res file. But really pretty colors. See, look at this. Now, why is that cropped down in the bottom corner? It's weird, Lightroom. Joseph Riley. So I get the urge to bring down the exposure on these kind of shots. It does really boost up the saturation effectively, but I think this really should be at least a stop brighter than submitted. I know you don't want to blow out the yellows and stuff, but I think it does overall work better. No metadata on this one to give any feedback on the shooting information. I think it works fairly well. If you got a shot with the bug's face straight towards it, it could be great. I wonder if bees get like pollen drunk, like in a frenzy, like it kind of looks like he's been at a party and he's leaving completely covered in cocaine or something like that. Okay, I think I see a question or two. Let's jump out and take a look. Chatty Web. I love the specs of the Z9, but do you think it deserves to be in the same price as the Hasselblad X1D? They're such different cameras. I personally wouldn't make the comparison between the two, but for me, I think it's worth way more than the X1D. The X1D is years old, was maybe the slowest digital camera that has been released in the last 15 years, has the same old sensor that Fuji is still using in their 50 megapixel bodies. Yeah, I think the Z9 deserves to be at that level or higher. In fact, I think it was pretty much unanimous that it was surprisingly cheap how it came in. Jason, very cool, giving us feedback that he shot that first Hummingbird handheld and started to slow down the shutter speed to try and get a bit of wing blur. Makes sense, really good. John McNeil, greetings. Jerry, no worries, you don't need to apologize, but I will give feedback on the images as they're submitted. So I know some people don't process their images, and I can see some people go crazy on it. It's just one guy's opinion on your images, which is, I'm guessing, why they've been submitted. So that's all it is. 101 blog. Now you have more storage. How long do you think it will take to fill? Not too long, but I have right beside me another new storage to set up. So the never-ending story of dealing with high-res media. Okay, have I missed any questions? I don't think so. If you guys have any, then please hit me up. Otherwise, let's get back to the pickies. We're making good time through these. Okay. Kevin Connery. Really interesting frame. I think it works really well. The only thing that I would suggest, and I'm already going to give it a pick, is that this bottom part, kind of, I don't know how easily you're able to see, but basically the rock under her, it's naturally darker already. I reckon darkening that down even more so then she had more contrast could work really well. So let's just do it really rough and ready. Now, I appreciate if I were doing this for myself, I would spend, maybe a whole minute rather than 10 seconds on it. And something like that. So that just, sorry, not that, but that helps bring it down. Let's just scroll through all my presets here. So import, and with that brush, just my 2 cents. But let me put it back to how you submitted it. It's a pick, and jump on to the next one. Kajel Javine. That is a very cute little something. I don't know exactly what that something is. It looks like it's been shot through wire netting on both sides, and it's not, yeah, it's just all kind of fuzzy. It looks like maybe the focus point was a bit behind its head, maybe on the tail, maybe on this wood in the center. It's kind of hard to tell. I think the animal's position in the frame is just perfect, but the image is just really hazy. It's hard to say much. Lace Stevens, nice little waterfall. I think the choice of the amount of water movement is really nice. You could go for a little less as well. Sometimes when it goes totally milky, it can, if nothing else, those white areas blow out. And then I would like to see you risk your camera, tripod, and shoes by going in a little closer, get rid of this rock on the right, and maybe get closer down to the water so we feel more in the image. This kind of feels like a, I don't want this to sound like an insult, I mean it as a compliment, but obviously a competent photographer, obviously a beautiful location, but not a breathtaking shot. I either maybe spending a bit more time on the composition, or there's just so many waterfalls out there, I don't know that this particular cascade is the most spectacular. Mark Sawain, again, a really low res file. This could have been taken on a cell phone potato. I mean, I've been in this part of the world, well, I don't know what part of the world this was, but I've been in lots of parts of the world where you see this kind of a sunrise and the heat of the day about to kick in, and the haze through the interlayers of mountains, and it is a beautiful shot. Just, again, it's nice as an avatar type sized image, but to do anything with this, there's just kind of no integrity to the file, it seems. Looks like we have some more questions starting to come in. Great, so please keep sending them in. I'll take a few more pictures and then jump back out to take your questions. Mike Moynihan. Okay, now this looks, I don't know what has gone on with this one. It kind of has the artifacts of a HDR treatment, or just pushing all the blacks right up. But then it's just, yeah, it's got really odd hazy artifacts on all of the white. I don't know if you brush that in, but it kind of looks like it's had a phone filter HDR treatment put on it. I just don't think it's the best subject, to be honest. The background is well lit and competing for attention, and the tree over the water, if what you're going for is that reflected branches shot, then I think just this, without all of the competition, is a more interesting frame, and you could have shot that more easily. But just even here, if we bring it up a little bit, just look at all of the hazing around the branches. It looks like you've tried to darken them down, but then done it really, really haphazardly. It doesn't look, there's something off with the edits, essentially. Moeed Kanani. So that's interesting, and even the ladybug would probably have Steph feeling a little uncomfortable right now. So that looks like a tiny little ladybug on a kind of big dandelion. The only thing would be it's only kind of the ridge of its back that's in sharp focus, not the head and not the dandelion at all. I don't know what your settings were because they haven't come through on your shot, but I do think if this were all crisp, it could be breathtakingly detailed. Like the little stems on the dandelion here look like so detailed, they look like big electrical cables or something, but we're not getting any of that because only kind of this area is actually in focus. I think it has great potential though, Moed. So I think this is another one that's had the shadows try to be lifted to bring it back, and it also has that, although it's hard to tell, it also has that kind of slightly baked look to it of trying to bring back dynamic range from the shadows. But you can also just get that effect when you're shooting at this time of day when the sun is almost down. You get things that look burnt and the colors look almost unnatural, but it just is how it comes out. I think it's a really, really pretty landscape. I wonder how the shots would have looked here cast in another 20 minutes from now once the sun's down. We've got the fog rolling in. I wonder how the shots came up without that direct light when everything suddenly becomes a wash and almost the same color, not color balance, but without the point light, everything's kind of the same exposure. You would have less contrast through the shot. Everything kind of goes pastel-y. I think that could go nicely with the theme having the fog and everything already coming in there. But very nice. I'll give that some stars to keep in consideration. Philip Livingston. Now, was this shot from a moving car? It's kind of odd. The clouds up the top, is this a composite? The clouds up the top are quite sharp and tinted purple. The streaming lights of the cars are good, but then the tower on the hill is not, and all of these lights are not sharp at all. And they've got a little bit of motion blur in them. So this was taken 1 second. So maybe this was handheld or on the hood of your car as cars were streaming past or something. It's a little unusual that why all those, well, I guess because point lights it shows up more, but why the point lights in the background show motion blur but the clouds don't really. I'd be interested to know, did you use, is it a composite? Did you use a different white balance on the top part of the frame than the bottom, or was it all the same white balance and just we can't see much of the grass to see if it's all got that purple tint to it? Not knowing the background of the shot, I'm guessing, if this were me, I could have pulled off to the side of the road, leant on the hood of the car, got the shot and kept going. But I think the frame would benefit from a bit more space, like having the road right up on the bottom of the frame. I think it feels too cramped, basically. Okay, one more shot, then we'll jump out and look at your questions. Sanket Nal. Now, this is a beautiful part of the world. Well, it is a beautiful part of the world. I wonder if using some filters could have helped elevate this a little bit. It kind of feels like a gorgeous scene, but a little bit snapshotty. I wonder if, this natural little pool is gorgeous, the mountains and everything, and then you with the boat coming through. I don't know that this on the right is doing anything for you. I wonder if coming over to your left and kind of trying to frame up and have the pool be the whole lower anchor point of your image would have been a nicer composition. Let's have a look at some questions. John McNeil, will Z9 make firmware downloads easier? I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Maybe you're talking about compared to the X1D or compared to what? Nikon firmware updates, not meaning to sound like a fanboy, but they're already incredibly easy. You just download it to your SD card, put it in, and hit update. It's that simple. None of this having to download a pack and connect your computer to the camera and stuff like you do on the alpha cameras. Sean Vine, what process do you use for importing and cataloging your images? I import and catalog with Lightroom. And some more. Okay, hi, Jason Palmer. Hi from the UK. Moved back to Nikon from Olympus and decided on the 600mm. It's all kind of a mashup here, sorry what I'm reading. F4 and teleconverter plus a D500. Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying, Jason. Maybe you can write it again. Going to sell my EM1X 300 to fund towards the Z9. Would there be problems with the adapt? I'm sorry, mate. I really don't know what you're talking about. Sounds like you want to buy the Z9 and you have a 600mm f4 and a D500 and you want to know if the Z9 is going to do well with that combo. If I'm misunderstanding your question, then let me know. But I haven't tested the 600mm f4, but I tested the 400 2.8, the 500 PF, and a bunch of other ones. You can see my recent video on bird photography, and it did great with all of them, so I think it would be okay. Shame to be selling the EM1X now. I just saw that it's actually half price, brand new at the moment, so I hope you can at least get, you know, several $100 for it used. Any others? So I saw someone saying, where do I submit my image for Matt to destroy my dreams? I'm sorry about that. I'm not trying, there's no point for me to just say, oh, that's pretty. Oh, I wish I was there. That looks like a lovely sunrise. I wish I was having a cup of coffee looking at that view right now. This is a photography feedback show. I don't think that someone entering a photo that I don't like, there's anything wrong with the person or with their photography. All I can do is give you my one person's feedback on it. And if everyone in the room disagrees with me, that's fine, because it's just one person's feedback. What I would love to hear is to see in the chat for you guys to give some feedback on the images as well. It's much more useful, Sanket Nowell, to get 10 people's written comments and my verbal comments than just getting mine. So please don't be shy. Share your thoughts. Eric, good question. Are composite images allowed? How should it be disclosed? And how far would you go with putting multiple pictures together? I would say if it's well enough done that we don't notice, then we didn't notice. It would be kind of good form to disclose it. In the future, maybe I'll do a composite specific competition. I would say that if you're doing a composite, I would want you to have been the author or the photographer that took each of the different images that were taken, not that you got one shot and then you downloaded a sky from somewhere and just dropped that in. That kind of thing I don't think would be reasonable. It should be all your work. Gary T, what a lovely question. How's Tina? So for those of you who haven't been watching for long, well, I started the channel, I have to check, but something like 10 years ago now. Not too long into it, I met and shot with Tina Yong, a makeup therapist, beauty consultant, something was what she was doing at the time, a beauty therapist. And we became great friends and we shot together for years and we made hundreds of videos together. And, you know, time went on and now she's a gigantic beauty YouTuber with millions of subscribers working with huge brands. She lives in Singapore. We do chat now and then. And big news I can share because she shared it with her audience. She is married and pregnant. So congratulations to her and her husband Alf. They've been dating and then engaged for years, and he's a lovely, lovely, lovely guy. So she's doing great and entering into the next big phase of her life. So wish her all the best. Francesco Coco, do you think being able to use speedlight is an important skill, or LED lights are good enough? This is going to sound like the start of an infomercial or, a lecture, but really light is light. And if you learn to use light, then you will be able to use any. It doesn't mean you need to add LED or flash or strobes or whatever, but knowing how to mix them is important, and it will help even your landscape photography when you're not adding lights. The only advantage of using flash, there's the technical challenge of learning how to work with it and connect it and sync it and all of that kind of thing. But then you have a flash duration, and you're able to, if you're using continuous light, like right now I'm lit by a continuous light up here and a continuous light behind me, and then continuous fill light coming in from my window just here. So all I can do is, even though I have 3 zones of light, I can adjust the relative power of each one. I have to do it by adjusting the actual light source. With a flash, it also has a flash duration. So then depending on how I interact with that with my shutter speed, I can have the flash and the continuous as different zones of light that impact my shot differently, and I can adjust the relative light balance just from the camera without having to change the light. So that's kind of the value of learning to use, non-continuous light. Matt, have you tried the Nikon Z 40mm f2? No, I haven't. I'm not even familiar with it. Robert D. Donato, flash is always hard. Matt taught me all about second curtain flash sync. If you want to learn flash, guys, I'm not sure if this one in particular is on sale, but over at learn.mattgranger.com, I have the Take Control of the Light course, and that's with Tina back in the day, teaching you all about flash. We also have the Dramatic Single Light Portraiture and the, natural and available light doesn't use flash, but it still goes through the key principles of light. Miguel, how often do you do these live streams? Pretty much every week at this time. We missed one recently because I was on location, but it's Sunday morning here in Hong Kong. We tend to do it at this time. And you can enter your shot for next week. The theme is at mattgranger.com/live, which is in the description. And I'm sure at some point someone has already shared that. So let's jump back in and take a look at a few more entries. Now this one would definitely annoy Steph. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you trying to freak her out. Sorry that she's not here. So you were in fairly close on this one too. This says 40mm. So you see that one? We've got the whole plant, looks like dried up wild asparagus, and then the bug and its first antennae all nice and sharp, and then just the second one is falling out. So that's kind of a perfect amount of depth of field. The second one being out doesn't bother me. We get the maximum amount of softness in the background, but having the bug all in, it is really hard getting detail up on black bugs because they're kind of shiny, but then also weirdly not reflective in some parts. Looks like maybe you got some dust spots to deal with. So yeah, I think you technically handled it well. I just don't think the composition is doing you any favors. Having the bug so central but with a big swathe of open space does nothing for me. Perhaps you could make it a portrait 4x5 and bring it in like that. What do you think? Oh, that little birdie's got a little bee. Pick. Great. Everything that we want is in sharp focus. Nothing is cropped off. I personally would like to see it framed a bit more to the right so we have that fork in the branch and a bit less space on the left of the bird. If we can't get a bit more space, the fork, then we can at least bring this in a little bit to balance it out a bit better. See, look at the weird way it zooms. Why are you going down there? Lightroom is weird lately. Yeah, really nicely done. And this bird, this subject, all works great in that particular light. Wolfgang Harnisch, someone asking about composites. I think this one may be some kind of a composite. Wolfgang did mention in his email and graciously said something along the lines of, I don't know if this is allowed, if it's not, discount me. But so this is two different, well, this is actually a good study in it. This, a composite doesn't have to be that you put a sky from here and a light pole from there and a subject from there and mash them all together into one shot. It can be, to increase your depth of field. So here it's the same frame, but in one on the left, he's focused in on this part, the dead part of the tree, and in the other on this branch. So he could overlay these two and then have a shot that, let him shoot wide open, have the maximum light coming in, shoot at his lowest ISO, but then have both parts that are important to the shot be in focus. So think of if you were doing your partner standing on the beach in their best Sunday clothes, and then 50 foot away is a lighthouse. You could potentially shoot your subject and the lighthouse both in focus on a tripod, frame doesn't change, put them together, and then have this dreamy shot where the subject is sharp, the lighthouse is sharp, but everything in front and behind both of them is out of focus. That could actually be kind of a cool technique. As it is though, Wolfgang, I don't mind it as a, something that you would put potentially on the wall of a hotel, a triptych or a duplicate. But I don't think the subject is particularly interesting. I don't know what this is saying. Winkleman. I'm going to say Winkleman. Now that's a room for review. I hope you didn't wake up in the night and need a wee and then kind of stumble out thinking you were walking to your bathroom because you forgot where you were. That actually looks a lot, although it's saying Austria, so it's not, but it looks a lot like a mountain range that I went to with my friend in northern Peru. I mean, beautiful. What a place to spend the night. What do we got settings-wise? Oh, no settings. I think it would work better at an earlier time of day or a less contrasty time of day, or at least, the tent is in focus then all the background isn't. I think having the far mountain ranges could actually work really nicely if they were in better focus. It's basically, it's kind of in a way like the two shots earlier. It's an amazing subject, but just an okay photo, if you know what I mean. It's not a whole lot of skill that went into this, but it was the effort of getting here and spending the night there that made this shot possible. And that must be our last one because that file starts with Z. So let's just jump out and see if we have any other questions before I choose out a winner or two. Looks like maybe no. I don't see any new images. Don't see any. Let me know. Juan, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Whilst I choose out winners, folks, let us know in the chat what are you going to be shooting in the next week. I hope you're going to get out and shoot. And I should have mentioned at the start of the show, I'm not really good at this. I do have a bunch of holiday sales on at the moment over at, you can go to the page that's in the description. That's where I'm updating all the different sales I find online of electronics and camera gear and whatnot as things get released over successive days as we lead up to Black Friday. And I also have courses at mattgranger.com and artnudeportraiture.com on sale, as well as the the Victorian Decadence shoot that I just put live. It's up for the Black Friday sale, but it's also because it just went live, so it's a launch sale. So you can check that one out. I'm pretty sure there are links in the description for that already. So now let's choose out who is going to get a copy of that. I'll actually give you the choice if you want that or the Steph Art Nude tape shoot. They're both recently launched, both now live and on sale. So I'll let the winners choose which of those two courses they would like. So let's take a look at our picks. Now I'm leaning towards giving 3 prizes. But I haven't decided. Yeah, I think I will. All 3. Jason Maguire, Kevin Connery, and Werner Srepsky. All great shots and all nice different interpretations of natural nature, that kind of theme. So I'll be in touch. If you haven't already, guys, if you see that you're a winner here, please go ahead and make yourself an account if you haven't yet at learn.artnudeportraiture.com. So once I get in touch and find out which course you want, I can just add it to your dashboard so that you can start downloading or streaming them straight away. Excellent. Nice to see that Sean is going to go out and shoot for the Decadent theme. Do something creative. I would love to see it. Don't be pinned down by the obvious ideas that come to mind. Eric saying something about that it would be maybe it's good to have less entries. I really struggle with which way to go with this. When I get like 80 entries, I do cull them. But then people get so disappointed when they're not included. Or sometimes I've just chosen out like the top 15 or 20 to look at so we can go into them in more detail. I can tell you, having tried various options for 18 months, 2 years, whichever way I do it, people it's split basically. Half the people want all of them, half the people want just a selection, and you can't make everyone happy. So I'll have to make it clear ahead of time which way I'm going to do it, so then people aren't as disappointed. So if I'm only going to choose some out, then I will let you know at mattgranger.com/live beforehand. John Muscat. A quick question. Are you buying your Z9 from B&H Photo, and will it affect your warranty in Australia? The Z9 is on pre-order for $9,000, which is versus $5.5 US or 7.3 with the conversion rate. I don't know how international warranty works for Nikon right now. I know in Hong Kong, I think the warranty is kind of valid, but it doesn't just transfer everywhere. So you basically, I'm going to say check it for yourself because I don't know. I'm pretty sure that B&H can't ship the Z9 internationally anyway. Keep in mind when they say 5.5, that's America doesn't mention the sales tax. So if you were buying that in New York, for example, at B&H, or they're shipping it to New York, you'll then pay like another 9% or so on top of that. I'm pretty sure that if you buy a camera from overseas and then you're living in Hong Kong, for example, that Nikon Hong Kong isn't bound to service it. It's for the market that you bought it from. But to answer your first question, I'll be buying my Z9 from Hong Kong, not from B&H. John McNeil, recent Hong Kong surf photos, were they at Big Wave Bay? Yes, they were. I don't think I've shared any just yet though, but yes, they were. And I have a video. I still have like 3 or 4 different videos to get out from my time with the Z9 that I haven't gotten to edit just yet. Well, that's not true. I've got, what have I got? Let me just check because I have it open here. I think I have 2 already uploaded waiting to go. One is on the Z9 and one is on something tangential. And then I do still have pet eye autofocus, surf and wakeboarding, and studio shooting, and I have one on manual focus. See, I've been pumping out the videos, but I still have so many more because right now I don't have any assistants in studio, so all of the filming and editing and doing everything is all me at the moment. So you will see more Z9 stuff coming soon, and hopefully they'll be out and in the market and more people will be able to share their thoughts with you guys quite soon. Seems like that is our show done then. Get your decadent / opulent theme shots in over at mattgranger.com /live, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully Steph will be here for this one. Hope everything's okay for her today. Thank you to everyone who entered, and yeah, check out the Black Friday deals. My deals will end around Cyber Monday, and I will keep updating what I find online. There are some big deals out there, like $1,500 up to off on Canon cameras at the moment, 800 on Nikon, I think, no, 500 on Nikon, 800 on Sony. So you can see all the ones that I've found so far at the link below. Now it seems the questions are firing in, but I've said goodbye already. So cheers guys, hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you at the next live show. Bye-bye.